ask you, you were talking about this potential Khabib grappling match. How do you see that one going?
Man, I think if we ever had a pure grappling match, I'd pretty handily submit Khabib. Probably the same way that if I had like a pure wrestling match against somebody who is, an extremely dominant wrestler, more than likely they would beat me. But it would still be a fun, cool experience either way. I don't know. I don't see how anybody could debate that. People will because they're uneducated about martial arts. But a pure grappling match, it's something that I've been doing my whole life. I mean, he's been focused on MMA his whole life, so obviously he has, somewhat of an edge there. But in pure jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's hard to believe that, he'd be able to do anything other than maybe edge out like a draw or something, depending upon the rule set. If it was like maybe sub only and there was no, ref's decision or something, but maybe he could not get submitted. That would be the best hope that he would possibly have. But I think it would be a very dominant performance on my part if I ever fought Khabib in a jiu-jitsu or submission grappling context.
Breaking down that, I know Khabib obviously has been working on mixed martial arts a lot, and mixed martial arts grappling is so different when there's punches and elbows involved. But what do you see in the submission grappling game? Obviously, he hasn't done an exhibition match in a long time. What submission do you see yourself getting him in?
I think for Khabib, probably the thing that he doesn't encounter more than anything else would be leg locks. Like, I think that's like it's a very underutilized thing in mixed martial arts. So the likelihood that he's in a mixed martial arts room where there's anybody like attacking his legs consistently in a way where he'd be prepared for a threat like that is probably minimal. So I would say that
Combat Sambo is known for the leg locks as well. They dive for the knee bars and the toe holds.
Sure. I mean, that's nice. Don't get me wrong, but he's been spending the last decade training mixed martial arts. I highly doubt that he's in a combat sambo room in the last decade. I mean, I could be wrong about that. I don't think any of his training partners that he's training with on a day-to-day basis are going after leg locks. This is what I'm trying to communicate. There in sambo, there are some leg locks, but it's completely different than being in a room like I'm in on a day-to-day basis with the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world trying to submit each other with leg locks all the time. I mean, there's just the level of preparation for something like that is just, it's completely different. So I think that would be the most obvious place where there would probably be a discrepancy in skill. He's probably well prepared for most other submission threats because most other submission threats, upper body threats, are used pretty regularly in MMA. So.
Finally, yeah. And it's crazy how I feel like I can do so much better too, but no, definitely it's good. I feel like I can be the world champion today, and there's still so much room for improvement. So these guys are fucked, man. I want to go after the title and if anything, fight for the number one contender spot. And I think, and if it goes away, fight for an interim title. And I think the most legitimate guy out there, the number one legitimate contender now, it's Robert Whittaker. And once he's back from enjoying Christmas with his kids, we can meet and settle it in the cage, So I think that's the plan, and I think that's definitely what I want. And ultimately, I definitely want to fight Adesanya and settle the score once for all. I know Israel, and I said it over and over. He's not a courageous guy. He's really not a courageous guy. He takes steps forward where he knows he can where he can where he know he can take steps forward. And in a sense, you know, in a strategy of war, it's a smart thing to do in a sense too, you know, like, but being courageous is a different thing. He's not courageous. He's definitely not courageous.
Marvin, what is the pitch to Dana White for you, either to get a title shot right now or to get that Whitaker matchup for the #1 contender? What is the message?
I'm the hackers in the division, man. If there's one guy out here that wants the title more than everything, like, to be honest, to me, it is the mission of my life for now. You know, this is the mission of my life. My whole life comes down to get that title, and that shows how much I want it. And these guys have a life outside. You know, this guy is like they have families to look after. I don't know. They got other things going on. I don't have anything else going on other than chasing this motherfucking title, and to be the first Italian UFC champion. So, you know, like, one thing for sure, like, I'm gonna heal these scratches up, and I'll be back in the gym, and I'll be back training. I'm just gonna resettle a little bit, and then I'm gonna be back improving. And man, like, give it to me. Give me the #1. I want to be the legitimate #1 contender for this fucking title, and then I want to be the one that dethroned that bullshit ass champion called Israel Adesanya. So let's do it, man.
What were your thoughts going into that fight? What did you think the biggest challenge would be? Of course, it was short. It wasn't much of a challenge, but what were your thoughts on what might be challenging heading into that fight?
I was really scared I wouldn't be able to finish him because he has never been submitted before. I think he's retiring, but he's never been submitted. And he's tough as nails. He has a good gas tank. He's fought a lot of killers, especially since he's came back from his hiatus. Like, he's only had killers. Like, that's rough.
Right.
I was scared I would probably gas out trying to finish him and then maybe somehow losing by finish in the 3rd or 2nd round, because I go for the kill right away. So I was a little nervous for that, especially because Matt Wyman, you know, a lot of the tactics he did are probably about 10 years ahead of their time. Like, he was going for leg locks in like 2009.
Yeah. And
he did shoulder bumps. He did double hammer fists. He did single legs. Single legs are more popular takedowns now than double legs. You know, it's really, you know, his tactics were ahead of their time. And he was just so gritty and tough. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to put him away with a submission. I never dreamed I'd knock him out that way. So, yeah, those fears didn't end up meaning anything, but I had some insecurities about his hardiness.
Of course, Clarissa Shields, Olympic gold medalist boxer, transitioning to MMA. What's it like starting a career like this, where normally you'd be anonymous and you're not? Everybody knows about your accomplishments. They compare you to Ronda Rousey already. They can't wait to see you. What's that like, stepping into the sport with all that pressure?
One of the things about MMA I feel like is tough is the fans, you know? There's a lot of just trolls, and there's a lot of angry people out there, and there's a lot of people who've never accomplished anything in their life but who want to tell people who have what they're doing or what they shouldn't be doing, or tell them that they're obviously on steroids, or they look like men, or, you know, they're going to get kicked in the head. They can't wait to see them get knocked out, or, you know, for Clarissa, people saying, oh, you're going to get choked out. Like, there's just always going to be, I think MMA is full of a lot of that. So, of course, that's tough. But listen, like, I didn't grow up, you know, in a white picket fence in this perfect world, and Clarissa certainly didn't. You know, she had a hard road to get to where she is. She's not afraid of hard work. She doesn't care what people think of her, and that's why she's a 2-time Olympic champion. And I think, like, the sky's the limit. Yeah, of course she's going to be scrutinized, but you don't get to become a 2-time Olympic champion without pressure, so...